Welcome to the 22nd Hayley-Roxanna Crafts quick cross stitch video, where I share information, hints and tips on one area of cross stitch in a short video. In this video, I am focusing on how to do petite stitches on Evenweave fabric. Petite stitches are worked in the same way as full cross stitches, but use a quarter of the space of a full cross stitch. So 4 petite stitches can be stitched in the same space as 1 full cross stitch. This is how petite stitches may be shown on some charts. However, I show quarter stitches in this way on my chart, which is why it is best to consult the instructions for your chart to understand how the designer has shown them if they are using petite stitches in their design. It is important to remember when stitching on Evenweave or other fabrics with high counts, you are normally stitching over 2. So 1 square on the chart is equivalent to 4 squares on your fabric. And this sort of 3 holes by 3 holes or 2 squares by 2 squares. This is where using Evenweave fabric can make stitching petite stitches easier, as you will see as I demonstrate them. So if the chart is showing a petite stitch in the top left corner of a square, to do this, you need to start by bringing your needle up through the middle hole on the left side of the corresponding square. So this is the square that I'm working on. You then take your needle down through the middle hole at the top of that square. You want to bring your needle back up through the middle hole of the square, and then finish by taking your needle down through the top left corner hole of that corresponding square to give you your petite stitch in the top left corner. If the chart is showing the petite stitch in the top right corner of the square, you need to start the stitch by coming up through the middle of the corresponding square on your fabric. So I'm now working on this square here. And then you will take your needle down through the top right corner of that square. Bring your needle up through the middle hole on the right side of the square, and then down through the middle hole at the top of the square to give you your petite stitch in the top right corner. If the chart is showing the petite stitch in the bottom left corner of the square, you want to start by coming up through the left bottom hole of the corresponding square on your fabric. So we're now working in this square. And then you will take your needle down through the middle hole of the square. Bring your needle up through the middle hole at the bottom of the square. And then down through the middle hole on the left side of the square to give you your petite stitch in the bottom left corner. And if the petite stitch is in the bottom right corner of the square, you need to bring your needle up in the middle hole at the bottom of the corresponding square. So I'm now working in this square here. And then take your needle down through the hole in the middle on the right side of the square. Bring your needle up through the bottom right corner hole. And then take your needle down through the hole in the very middle of the corresponding square to give you a petite stitch in the bottom right corner. So there's the 4 different petite stitches. So like I said at the beginning, 4 petite stitches take up the same space as 1 full cross stitch. If you stitch your full cross stitches the opposite way to me, so if you do the bottom leg of the stitch from right to left, and the top leg left to right. Then you should do your petite stitches in the same way. Petite stitches are used by designers to add more detail in a small space in their design. They are often surrounded by full cross stitches or vertical or horizontal half stitches. Designs with petite stitches tend to be more advanced. If you have any questions about petite stitches, please pop them in the comments. And in my next quick cross stitch video, I will demonstrate how to mount a finished cross stitch onto mount board for framing. Although this video may not be available for a few weeks, as I need to finish a cross stitch to demonstrate this with.